Greg, first of all, mate, congratulations. That's a hell of a result against the Tide.
Yeah, well, thanks, Sean. And for those Hardiu residents that are listening to this morning, I want a big thank you for them for their vote of confidence.
What do you think it was that got you through when, I don't mean to be mean, but the rest of your party was decimated?
Oh, look, I think about 42,000 people voted here, something along those lines, and every one of those people voted on what was in front of them. As you know, you've been in this game for a while, we sort of say people voted for this reason, that reason, but actually I knocked on a hell of a lot of doors. And one you learn is that, it's vote on climate, vote on tax, vote on this. These people will vote on what they believe is important in that election, and those people will make their own individual decisions. So it's really hard. You get a sense of it, and a bit of change. I actually believe it was a COVID election. I actually really do believe this whole election was about COVID, about not actually COVID. Well, I understand you've got to have it at the moment, have you, Sean?
Yeah, I have at the moment. About moving past it. I always said it was going to be like Churchill.
Just not actual COVID, but the whole world, incumbent governments around the world are being going through exactly what Labor is going at the moment, whether they're left or right. And there's been a whole discombobulation of the world in a way that I don't think has happened since World War I. Where everyone's been impacted, and it'll take a generation to understand fully what it really did to our society.
Mm. So, under those circumstances, or with that belief, does Labor have to be careful not to overreact to this electoral result? Yes,
look, trends come and go. Don't forget, I've just been, there's a group of guys in a cafe who tend to be probably more right than left, who I have breakfast with every so often, and they're sort of showing the little memes and jokes going around that always become an inevitability after something like this. And they were all the same memes and jokes that were being put around about Judith Collins 3 years ago. So nothing changes. It's just the heads on the memes change. That's all.
Does Labor? I was surprised. I was surprised to see Damien O'Connor out, because I know from talking to people down the West Coast, Maureen Pugh's not exactly the brain of Ireland, and I know he was pretty liked down there, and he's the writer of the Labor caucus. Nanaia Mahuta gone, which was remarkable. There's got to be a feeling that you have to rebuild, and rebuild pretty carefully now, Greg.
Yep, and there wouldn't be a party that had been just left Parliament that wouldn't say exactly the same thing. It's interesting with Damien, of course, the cousin. He went out in 2008 under exactly the same circumstances. He'd been a minister in the Clark government, and as a result of being a minister,
I forgot about that.
He wasn't able to spend the time on the ground. We often joke is that he's got the biggest electorate. He goes from Haast right through basically to the outskirts of Nelson. In Ohadiu here, I can be, not taking into account the big rural chunks, I can basically be anywhere in my electorate in my little red car within about 15 minutes of home. And that's the contrast. So having an ability to actually service your electorate. And I think Peter Dunn, when he was a cabinet minister here, he was the same. When you live in Wellington, you can go to those events in your mealtime. Well,
much easier,
or probably Nanaia to go to an event where they've been invited and with an expectation they'll turn up, they probably need, especially Damien, needs 2 days leave from Parliament. And when you're a minister, you haven't got 2 days.
Yeah. Do you think the party changes and it rejects to a certain extent what we would call woke or identitarian politics, which is all about the minorities and transgender people and rainbow ticks? Does it need to get back to its working class roots, do you think?
Well, when you think about it, where did most of the Labor vote go? A lot of it actually went to the Greens. So does that what does that say about that comment?
So you're saying they outwoked you?
Well, all I'm saying is making a statement. is that, where did the Labor vote in Rongotai and Wellington Central go? It went to the Greens. Yeah. So, what does it tell you? You'll have an interpretation.
Yeah, but overall, you guys lost 25%. You guys lost 25% of the electorate. That didn't all go to the Greens. They only got 12%, 10 to 12%. Right?
No, but a lot did. Yeah, look, you'd be crazy not to do a proper analysis of where we find ourselves, and everything's got up for grabs because the world is changing so quickly. I mean, even a little comment this morning that it used to be that we had 3-term governments, but everything's sped up so much now, just with media, that the world is sped up. So what was 3 terms is now probably the equivalent of 2 terms because it's everything, every trend goes through the community, through New Zealand, through the world so much quicker. I mean, we used to get a trend that happened in the States, would be a few years we'd say it'll arrive here in a couple of years. If it's happening in the States now, it'll happen here in 5 years' time. Well, if it's happening in the States now, it'll be picked up in 6 months. Those street kids,
or 6 weeks.
The street kids in South Auckland will be doing what the street kids in LA do. As soon as the street kids in LA start doing it.
Yes. I guess there's always a bit of woulda, coulda, shoulda after a result like this, Greg. And I was looking, and I said at the time when Hipkins took over, why? And unfortunately, he got kind of hogtied because Jacinda Ardern announced when the election would be when she stepped down, which took away his wiggle room to be more strategic or change the game plan. And I was thinking, how would you have avoided this defeat, maybe having called a snap election soon after he took over, because there was that period of honeymoon when he was quite widely liked for a couple of months before it all went west again.
Yeah, well, I'm not a constitutional expert, but I don't think there was anything to stop just because a date had been announced. And I think by convention, the date is always announced at the start of January. I don't think, and again, I could be corrected, that there is anything to stop you having or changing that date or having a snap election.
Well, I thought the loss of MPs and the defection of MP changed the nature. Yeah, I think they could have found an excuse, and it might have. Let's just say it wouldn't have saved the Labor Party, but it might have stemmed the flow of blood a little bit.
Yeah, well, look, we don't know, do we? We can speculate now, but the reality of it, the election was held on the 14th of October, and we're talking about what happened now. So you can drive yourself nuts talking about what ifs.
Yeah.
But the reality of it, we play the cards that we are dealt, and the dealer has laid the cards out.